Whoa! I thought this video would never come out! That's right, it's my long-awaited Top 10 Love Live girls! Of the first anime! And only ones from the two major idol groups. Sorry, Yukihiro, Alisa, and the Techie girls. You're all great too, I swear. And Aqua, you girls will have your own video sometime after the first season is done, or maybe the second if there is one. I'll probably do another one for my favorite N girls at some point as well, but that's another story for another time. So, let's not waste any more time, shall we? Let's see how your best girls stack up against mine as we count down my ErynCerise's personal Top 10 Love Live Series 1 girls. Starting things off with number 10, Arise. Technically cheating to include 3 and 1, I know, but I'm going to count all of Arise as a single entry because they rarely appear separately and all tend to represent the same thing story-wise. That thing being a slick, polished, crystal clear inspiration for Honoka to form Muse, and later a strong rival group for them in the Love Live. Despite being rivals though, the great thing about Arise is that they're not secretly evil or nasty like you might expect. They're just professionals, both in discipline and in attitude. In contrast with Muse's idealistic approach, which is very much tied to this one period of their adolescence, Arise represents the business side of idols. They are the love-lifers, as it were, who intend to make this school idol thing into a serious career. And that's not a bad thing, it's honestly really awesome. Just a different approach is all. But anyway, out of all three, Tsubasa definitely has the best characterization thanks to her scenes with Honoka both in the series and in the movie, and she's a great leader figure for the trio. Anju is the cutest of the three, and yet always seems a lot wiser than she looks. And Erina is the strong silent type, but she also has the group's strongest singing voice. And best legs. Like, damn, girl. Anyway, all three of them are great characters. They're really only last on my list because they have the least characterization by virtue of less screen time. So, yeah, moving on. Number 9, Miko. She may be the last of the Muse girls for me, but let's be 100% clear here. That doesn't mean I don't like Miko. The thing here, you gotta understand, the thing with ranking Muse members is that it's like ranking double chocolate fudge cakes. The last cake on the list is still a double chocolate fudge cake, and a pretty darn good one at that. But I do have to pick the double chocolate fudge cakes I like best, which means one of those cakes has to end up last, even if I still really like it. And yes, that means I don't think Nico is trash, much as I like to joke sometimes. I feel like the trash thing is gentle teasing at most, an endearing fandom joke that even Nico fans like to have fun with. Pretty similar to the way that we as idol fans often call ourselves idol trash. The term trash just implies that a person is into something to a ridiculous degree. And that is Nico's character to a T, which is a big part of why people love her. Her devotion to idol fandom, her attempts to be everyone's #1 super idol, and her dedication to Muse especially, are all insanely strong, which makes her top-tier idol trash if I ever saw it. Never mind that her backstory is genuinely affecting and well-written. If you've ever tried your hardest at something and failed, I dare you to not empathize with Nico in some way. And her character design is just great, with her cute pigtails, her distinctive asymmetric bangs, and of course that winning Nico smile! Despite not being my best girl, she consistently has some of the best SIF cards, and I really wish I had more of them. The only negatives really that land her this low on my list are, 1, her singing voice is kind of a little shrill, even for me, and 2, her Nico shtick, while fun, can be a bit grating and forced at times. I mean, we get it. That's your bit. You can stop now. Anytime now. Number 8, Rin. I feel bad having her this low on my list because again, like Nico, I still like Rin a lot. Rin fans tend to have an infectious level of dedication and enthusiasm for their best girl, and I don't blame them one bit. They have plenty to be enthusiastic about. Rin is an absolute sweetie pie, just bursting with energy. She's always there to support her friends, Hanayo especially, and she has some very, very relatable insecurities about her looks and the pull between different modes of feminine gender expression. The Love Wing Belle episode is a thing of beauty, and it really shows off everything that makes her shine. The only real downside is she doesn't get more episodes like that, meaning she doesn't quite get as fleshed out as some of the other Muse girls do over the course of the anime. There's also her nya speech quirk and her focus on sports, both of which tend to be not my favorite character traits, so that's also part of why she's not higher up for me personally. But still, she is still super cute. She has tons of pretty cards and outfits, and definitely is one of the best singers in the whole group. Her work with Lily White in particular is stellar, and she also has some of the best solo songs and duets in the entire Muse discography. Koi no Signal Rin 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 in particular being really fun to play on SIF. She may not be my best girl, but I still like her a lot, and I will always help Rin fans cheer her on to victory. Number 7. Umi. While watching the anime for the first time, Umi was actually near the top of my list for a while. In contrast to sugar-sweet Kotori and starry-eyed Honoka, her more serious and nervy personality stood out and made me want to see how she'd overcome her doubts and shine as an idol. She just has so much interesting stuff going on as a character. She's intelligent, beautiful, mature, disciplined, and a fiercely loyal friend to those close to her. But inside, she's actually a walking ball of anxiety and stress who just has no idea what's going on sometimes, and with pushed to her limits can just be such a ridiculous dork face. Oh my god. It's so great to watch. So why isn't she near the top anymore for me? Well, to be honest, it's that I felt the show writers kind of started to Flanderize her a bit over time. They started to lean harder on some of her more abrasive qualities and exaggerated her reactions in a way that not only became a bit annoying, but also a bit predictable. I guess that's not really Umi's fault so much as the writers, but it still disappointed me and colored her character a bit in my mind. Still, that aside, Umi at her core is an extremely dynamic and interesting member of Muse, and again, like Rin, she's definitely one of the group's standout solo singers with a gorgeously deep voice to contrast a lot of the higher-pitched girls. Also just a gorgeous character design. Very classic. Gotta love it. Especially when that classic look gets flipped on its head for some of the series' most hilarious expressions. I think you know the one I mean. Number 6. Nozomi. Oh, I am probably going to catch some heat for not having her higher. If Rin fans are enthusiastic, Nozomi fans in my experience are absolutely rabid for their girl of choice. Which is great! That kind of passion is what idol fandom is all about. You keep going with all of that. I just want all of those passionate fans to remember, again, I love all the girls a lot. And it is so hard to rank them, because while all the girls have flaws, they also have so many good points that there are days when I feel like any of them could be my best girl. And Nozomi for sure has days like those, in part because I've pulled so many of her stunning SIF cards. Christmas V1 Nozomi was my very first UR card, and to this day she's still one of my favorites to display on the home screen. Nozomi also has some of the best parts in the anime, from her knowing advice to Ellie throughout Season 1, to her tear-jerking focus episode in Season 2, to that spin in the movie, oh my god. She's always been a very motherly presence in the series, and yet can also be incredibly silly and roll with the group's more ridiculous antics, like it ain't no thing, whatever. She's an amazing character, and it's no wonder she's so beloved. The only negatives for me are, well, there's her singing voice, which, like Nico's, is a bit shrill for my tastes. She works a lot better as a support singer than as a soloist, in my opinion, although Moshimo Karakito is quite good. And there's her hairstyle, I guess. She really does need to get some nicer hair ties. Maybe do the braid thing more often, too. And, okay, you probably knew this was coming, but there's the washi-washi thing. I know some people defend it, or say it's not that bad, or, well, at least they toned it down in Season 2, right? But it really does still bother me. I don't think it's funny, I don't think it's cute, and I really wish anime would stop using this kind of borderline assault thing for laughs. Mari, especially in a show like Love Live, which otherwise tends to not go for many fan service tropes, it really sticks out like a sore thumb to me and just... Still, the fact that I love Nozomi as much as I do despite that really speaks to the strength of her character. And if that joke isn't as important to you as the many, many strengths she has, then more power to you, because those strengths really do make her more than worthy of being anyone's best girl. Number 5. Maki. How fitting that Nozomi and Maki are next to each other on this list, because Nozomaki is totally my favorite underappreciated Love Live ship. Seriously, did you see that scene on the beach in Season 1? I mean, I am not normally a shipper, but I shipped them immediately! And when I went online after watching it to search for art of them, I came away with only one thought, and that was... the hell is with all this Maki-Nico? Anyway, let's just talk about Maki, everyone's favorite tomato. No joke, Maki was my original best girl. To me, she was the prettiest of all the Muse girls, she had one of the best singing voices, and like Umi, her more sour disposition contrasted well with the rest of the girls. Though she still had a sweet side too, which I liked a lot. Everyone likes a good tsundere. It was a true delight watching Honoka and the others coax her out of her initial reluctance into being a truly dedicated and caring member of the group, and to see her funnier and cuter qualities emerge, like the whole Santa thing is too precious. I can't even... Santa is real, Maki! Don't let anyone tell you otherwise, baby! I'm gonna protect... Anyway, so when I first started playing SIF, Maki was my no-brainer choice for starting girl. I still have that initial Maki to this day, safe in my inventory along with my original Ru Tatara. These are my remnants of the earliest days in the game for me. So considering all that, why is she now middle of the pack? Honestly, I don't really have a good answer. I can't think of any strong negatives that would pull her down, other than maybe tsundere isn't the deepest personality type. I'll admit that maybe overexposure in the fandom has been a factor, also. Mostly, though, I think it's just that my top 4 girls just pulled themselves ahead so much that Maki kind of fell behind naturally. Ah well, all that means is that she's still a beloved character for me, and all the positives I listed are still truer than ever. Always gonna love you, Maki babe. Number 4. Kotori. Speaking of not having the deepest personality, this is something that I hear Kotori accused of a lot, and I really don't think it's true. I mean, yeah, she's no Jessica Jones or Nomi Marks, but none of the Love Live girls are, really. As much as we love them, they're all still fairly tropey by design, just executed far better than most tropey anime characters tend to be. For Kotori specifically, though, it seems at least some of the complaints stem from the fact that she is above all nice. That is one of her most defining character traits. She is nice, she is sweet, she is positive, she is a good friend. And to a lot of people, being just those things is boring, and so that equals her having a boring personality. To me, though, as someone who strives to be nice and considerate, above all else most of the time, I know a lot of mental and emotional effort goes into that kind of performance, more so than many people think. And it can be a really tough performance on days when you're not feeling it. So what draws me to Kotori is not only seeing her strive to be nice, but also the fact that she's clearly not always happy or just blandly sweet. We see her worried, we see her sad, we see her teasing, we see her embarrassed and kind of a little crazy. We see her struggling with more than one secret over the course of the series. And we ultimately see her hurting her best friend because she was too scared to break her nice girl image and tell the truth about her own desires when she needed to. These things are all incredibly relatable to me and give Kotori a much wider range of emotion and flaws than most people give her credit for. Never mind that all the times that she is being happy and positive, she's often doing so in a creative mode, expressing herself through the costumes she creates for Muse, or her work as Mina Linsky, or sometimes even songwriting. Of course, as a creator myself, that's going to be appealing for me to watch. The only disappointment I have is that the majority of the interesting stuff she gets to do is in Season 1. In Season 2 and the movie, she does slip back a bit more into just being the nice friend who's there. Probably because the climax of her character arc is in Season 1, leaving her with not much to do afterward but follow the group's collective arc to the end. Still, even that is enough to put a smile on my face, especially since Kotori happens to be majorly pretty and cute on top of everything else. Of all the Muse character designs, hers is the one I would consider the most iconic. Her side loop and bow hairstyle is instantly recognizable, helping make her a great ambassador for the whole franchise, maybe even more so than Honoka. Although, Honoka certainly ain't too shabby herself, because next up on the ranking we have number 3, Honoka. This is another case where I can understand why other people might not like a character. As main characters go, Honoka is pretty main. She has a lot of the hallmarks of female anime protagonists, going back to Usagi in the original Sailor Moon. She's energetic, girly, kinda ditzy, not the greatest student, has a bottomless stomach, is a good friend, and is the de facto leader, not necessarily because she has many inherent leadership skills, but because she's just so dang plucky and inspirational, gosh darn it. In fact, she may even be less unique in the anime than originally intended, because in the manga, we actually see her starting out in the kendo club with Umi, and she's not too bad at it either. In the anime, all she seems to have before Muse are her friends, her family, and her school. So, pretty boilerplate, right? But Honoka does get a major advantage from being the protagonist, and that is that she gets the most development of any character in the series. She has the most clearly defined character arc through both seasons of the anime and the movie, and it honestly is a great arc in my opinion. A series can really sink or swim on the strength of its main character, and the success of Love Live I feel owes a huge debt in part to how well executed Honoka's story is. She starts as an idealistic but clueless student with a well-intentioned wish to save her school. When she's struck with inspiration by the wonder of school idols, she throws everything she can into this crazy yet wonderful plan, and for a while everything is beautiful. But instead of taking what could have been expected for a character like Honoka, where the power of love and friendship wins every time, it actually turns out you can try too hard at something. If you don't pace yourself and sacrifice everything for the sake of your work, even if you're sincerely into it, you're eventually going to break down in some way. And on top of that, it turns out that Honoka wasn't even necessarily being a good friend by working so hard for Muse, because she was so laser-focused that she completely missed the signs that something might be wrong with her best friend. And when that comes to light, there is drama, there is crying, there's hitting. Honoka hits absolute rock bottom from that point. And that is solid melodrama. Honoka is flawed, and her flaws lead her to a place of complete failure on every level. Which makes the parts where she pulls herself back up from that place of failure all the more satisfying. It reminds you that everyone is human, everyone makes mistakes, everyone hits a dark place emotionally at some place in their lives. And yet that doesn't mean you can't ask for forgiveness. It doesn't mean that you can't come back to the people who matter to you. And it sure as hell doesn't mean that you can't keep working your ass off to win the next Love Live and become the most renowned school idol group in Japan. So long as you pace yourself better at it. Learning from your mistakes is a big part of life, and in Honoka's case, her mistakes help her realize what her real priorities are. In the beginning, she can barely articulate why her school is important and worth saving. By the end of Season 1, and especially up through Season 2 and the movie, she eventually realizes she's not in this for some old building. She's in it for her friends. Saving the school is important, yes, but even after the school is saved, being an idol ends up still being worth it to Honoka because it represents all these friendships that matter to her, and expressing that through song and dance is part of what makes Muse shine so brightly on stage. So yeah, I won't go too much longer on about Honoka because I need to save room for my top 2, but needless to say, her story really resonated with me, and I love her as a character so much. Never mind that, again, I love her character design. I mean, they reused elements of it on Chika for a reason. And I also feel like her seiyuu, Emitsun, seems like the most experienced voice actor and anisong singer in the group. I really love how much control over her voice she has and how lively and full of personality it sounds, without being shrill at all. I recently tier 1'd for Momotaro Honoka, and despite playing Someday of My Life and Shiawase Iki no Smiling over 100 times each, I'm still not sick of either song. Also, I cannot wait for the day when I can finally idolize both my New Year's Honk and Snowy Mountain Honk URs, both of which are 2 of my favorite idolized cards in the whole game. The stickers cannot flow in fast enough, oh mans. And oh mans, we're getting near the top now! Let's check in and see who makes... Number 2. Ellie. My reasoning behind liking Ellie is a bit simpler than Honoka or Kotori, but it's no less strong. For starters, she, like all the girls in my top 4, I feel has a good solid character arc. Much has been made of comparisons between Ellie and Daya, for both being obstinate student council presidents who oppose the idol club for no apparent reason. But I honestly think that's where the comparisons end. Where Daya definitely is a hard-ass character, not just on the idol issue, but in pretty much all aspects of her life. Being a hard-ass isn't actually Ellie's natural mode. She can pull it off pretty well, but only because she feels she has to as president. In fact, that's the crux of Ellie's entire arc, the struggle between what she wants to do and what she feels she has to do. Her backstory is similar to Nico's in that she tried her hardest at something she loved, only to be crushed when she failed at it. This event left such an impact on her that she withdrew from the world of dance that she loved so much, and instead moved on to other pursuits where her professionalism would still be useful, like student government. The lesson she learns from Honoka and the others, though, is that it doesn't matter if what you're doing seems amateurish or silly or anything like that. As long as you enjoy it and it's not hurting anyone, then it's worth doing anyway, gosh darn it. Ellie initially feels like school idols are so unprofessional and amateurish that their existence at the school will definitely harm their reputation rather than help it, which is why she resists Muse at first. What she misses, however, and what she eventually grows to realize is more important, is that it doesn't matter that school idols aren't the most on-point dancers or pitch-perfect singers, because being a school idol is so much fun!
Because it's so much fun, Jan! Get it!
So long as you're able to have fun and bring smiles to people's faces, that's all that matters in the end, whether you're a top-tier pro or not. Needless to say, as someone who strives for professionalism in her work and yet always feels like a rank amateur regardless, that message really resonates with me, and it helps motivate me to keep doing what I do. Anyway, whether Ellie is being the cool, standoffish president, or the caring, calm, even playful friend, she always stands out to me as an interesting and appealing character. Her half-Russian heritage creates some really fun backstory and behavioral quirks. Harasho, anyone? And her relationship with Alisa is always very sweet to see. And of course, looks don't hurt either. As the only blonde in the group, she always stands out in a Muse lineup, and she has fantastic fashion sense to boot. Several of her SIF cards display her talent for coordinating accessories, including my favorite of her SRs, this one with the affectionate fandom nickname Russian Aunt Ellie. And can't forget to mention her voice. Ellie has my third favorite singing voice in Muse behind Honoka and Maki, and my second favorite speaking voice behind my best girl. She has a deeper register than most of the group, but with a softer edge than someone like Umi, allowing her to blend in well with both Nico's higher pitch and Maki's richer mid-tones in their songs for BB. Ellie is always a joy to listen to watch, to scout for, to tear for. Man, just everything, so much so that only one other girl could possibly beat her. And that girl is... drumroll please... Number 1. Hanayo. Hanayo doesn't appear to have a lot going for her. Her character design is pretty plain. She has a few major character quirks and tends to lean pretty hard on them, which many people find annoying. Her voice is high-pitched and has what sounds like a bit of a rasp, so a lot of people understandably don't like that either. But overall, the general consensus among people who don't like Hanayo is just that she's kind of boring. End of story. And I could not disagree more! For one thing, her quirks, while yes, they are overused, I find are still absolutely adorable thanks to the sheer amount of energy and over-the-top zeal put into them by her seiyuu, Shikako. And of course by the always awesome animation team. When Hanayo is on, she is on! And the energy on screen when she's geeking out over idle things, or gushing over a steaming bowl of white rice, or holding on a dramatic moment of suspense, is absolutely a delight to behold, no matter how many times I see it. You are welcome to disagree, but this is my list of girls, so what I say goes. Get out, scrubs, make your own list! Her plain character design I also see as a positive rather than a point against. Idols often have a kind of glamorous mystique about them, and it seems like they have to be either absolute bombshells or high fructose corn syrup personified in order to be successful in the business. And man, bombshells are great and everything, just look at how much I like Ellie or Kotori. But there is just something so refreshing about seeing a girl as, well, normal looking as Hanayo being part of Muse. She seriously looks like she could have just stepped straight out of a crowd of anime extras. Just a basic brown-haired glasses girl sitting in the background while the more colorful characters ham it up in the foreground. And isn't the whole appeal of school idols supposed to be that they're just normal girls? I mean, that's what Chika's speech in episode 1 of Sunshine was all about. You don't necessarily have to look like a celebrity, or have years of image training, or anything like that. As long as you have passion, dedication, a strong work ethic, and the desire to make people smile, then great, you too can be a school idol. But despite that being the core conceit of the whole franchise, most of Muse really do look like standard pretty anime characters in idol archetypes, much as I love them all anyway. Hanayo is the only one who really fits the fantasy the show is trying to sell, where a truly normal-looking every girl steps out of her everyday life and shines like she never has before because she tries that damn hard. And the fact that Hanayo tries so hard despite not having the greatest self-confidence, and the fact that she's, yes, not as standout pretty as the other Muse members, those things make her super easy for me to relate to. She is definitely the character a hardcore nerd girl like myself can empathize with. The degree to which Hanayo gets obsessive about things may seem exaggerated, and it is, but not as much as you might think. I am someone who spent her whole life getting obsessed with things. Heck, obsession is why I started making SIF videos to begin with. I was so deeply into this dumb smartphone game that I couldn't help but interrupt my regular schedule of Pokemon videos to say, hey! I can't stop playing this thing, so I'm gonna tell you all about it! Anyone who's ever talked to me knows that I can talk a person's ear off about the things I love for hours on end if I don't catch myself and make sure that they're still interested. I mean, how long has this video been going on again? Should it really take this long for me to tell you about which waifus I think are best waifus? No! I could have just said a few sentences about each and you'd probably still be satisfied with knowing who my faves were. But goddamn, I cannot shut up when I get started because I want to tell people about every single little thing that I love about what I love with as much gusto as I can, in the hopes that maybe whoever's listening will agree and go, yes, that thing you like is awesome, Eryn. Let's talk more about how awesome it is. Oh my god. And I can ramble on for a good while longer about exactly why Hanayo is best girl to me. So in order to spare you an hour-long video, here is a rapid-fire list of some more things that make Rice Wife best wife. Here we go. 1. She's an alpaca whisperer. 2. She understands the comfort and style of black leggings. 3. Like a good side of rice, she pairs well with many Muse members. 4. She has a sweet singing voice, harmonizes well, and has a lot more range than most people think she does. 5. So many good Sif cards! Ah! 6. When she cries, I want to cry. Oh, why are you crying, baby? Who hurt you? Who hurt you? 7. Her Nico impression is deadly levels of adorable. 8. Over the course of the second season, she manages to fight her shyness and speak her mind a lot more often, even when no one else wants to. Like when she points out that Yukiho and Alisa deserve an answer about the third year's graduating. Also, the bit on the train. No! Stop crying! No! 9. She wore a giant orange costume that one time. That's amazing! And 10. Her becoming president of the Idol Study Club at the end of Season 2 was a perfect cap to her run in the series and so goddamn precious. Oh my god. Okay, I think I've said plenty at this point. So I think now is the time to wrap things up. Thanks so much for listening to me blab on about the waifus I love. Let me know in the comments below who you like and why in return. I always love hearing about why people love the characters they do. And heck, you can also tell me who your worst girls are too, but please remember to keep your criticisms respectful. Remember that every girl is someone's best girl, and Muse would not be Muse without all 9 girls, plus a rise to motivate them to ever greater heights of idoldom. Thanks again, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye! And the patrons for today's top 10 video who donate at least $4 a month are Barbo TK, Cinder, Dork and Mindy, Elaine G, Hope, Lisa Price, Liz C, Myron D, Prez Pasca, Ray the Espresso Cat, Vivian F, Anne Marie at MakiTori.tumblr.com, Calderson at CalliesQuest.tumblr.com, Carolyn G, who says you should visit ndp.ca, and Otaku no Podcast at OtakuNoPodcast.com. Thank you so much again, and I will see you guys all in the next video again. Later! I really gotta work on how redundant the end of my credits thing is. I always say goodbye at the end of videos, so why do I say it again at the end of the credits? It's a little repetitive. If anybody has any ideas, let me know.